Hi, I am Ahsan and this is my first digital Flaneurie experience. In this study, it's aimed to exist in the still like a cyborg with the tools that the digital Flaneurie can use. For this purpose, social media, shared text, images, videos, websites, and digital maps were used as a digital Flaneurie. The word cyborg is considered as the concept of half human and half robot for this study and has been redefined as the concept of uniting our thoughts with what the digital environment shows us. The whole study was carried out with this method. I choose this city for my digital Flaneurie experience because on the one hand it reflects its past, on the other hand I observe that it hosts the skyscrapers produced by the capitalist process. As a cyborg, I want to feel the place with the eyesight and hearing that digital devices provide me and touch the leaves there. I set 2 focus points because I want to witness this change with my thoughts, and the digital world leading me, and my main road starts from the Red Square and extends to the old and new Arbat area. I start my journey from the Red Square, which I think is the heart of Moscow, with my digital devices. This place is like a meeting place for users. As a virtual flaneur, I want to follow the actions of the users here with the help of social networks and see how the users here use the place and what it means. I'm in a place where every digital flaneur would like to be. The architectural works that I think are unique in the square attract my attention, so I can perceive Russian architecture and where I have been. In fact, I think all of them are the factors that help define the square. When I surf the internet with my digital devices, the main reason for wanting to work on the square St. Basil's Cathedral. In most of the shared photos I have seen about the square, I think that seeing her or his picture is actually proof that it had a similar effect on people. When I first saw it, I felt like I was in a fairy tale. It looks quite exuberant, majestic and interesting, like a fairy tale castle. It looks really different from the examples of the cathedral I have seen and known. I observe that this has an impact on people. I can't imagine someone not taking pictures in front of the cathedral. According to my digital observations, I have never seen the surroundings of the cathedral empty. It shines in the square like a treasure waiting to be discovered. It looks so beautiful from the outside that I'm sure people will want to see inside the cathedral. I want to look inside the cathedral with my cyborg eye that will make me alone in the crowd. I think the square thus gained meaning with different users at different times and contributed to the formation of urban memory for urban people. According to my observations, it is intertwined with the city, but also I see that the square is isolated from the vehicles, so that people increase their activities in the square and feel better with their bodies. But I cannot see the Lefebvre's ideas pulse of everyday life in the squares, except for certain days celebrated. At a casual time, these squares seem to be not a meeting place for the urban, but mostly an area where tourists came to explore. Another thing that caught my attention in the square is that there is no area where users can sit. I think people are turning to cafes, restaurants, and mall-like places. I see again on my digital map that the square is being evaluated with commercial concerns. Although Gum Shopping Mall is very expensive, I see the stalls selling local products in the square. I think the square serves all users and wants to accommodate many differences. A rather monumental structure that I think might be a museum in the square welcomes me. However, I was very surprised when I learned the use of the building. I realized once again how much the capitalist process is in our lives, because the magnificent building is a shopping center. It made me think that such a form would perform this function. I observe the contradiction created by capitalism on the place. It shows the concept of Lefebvre's surrounding of capitalism everywhere. These commercial forms increase commodification. Today I can see that even leisure activities are commodified, as in the Gum Shopping Center. People spend their time using the place, but unlike Lefebvre's concept, the pulse of the city is no longer on the streets, square streets. I think it beats a pulse in commercial areas, most mostly shopping malls. I observe that people don't use the squares as much as they used to, except for celebrations. In digital environments, I always observe crowded places as areas under the influence of the capitalist process. That's why I turn my cyborg eye into these areas. After the square, my digital map takes me on the journey from Red Square to Arbat Street. Another place where the pulse of the city beats is the Arbat region. When I look at the pictures, I see that it hosts two different places and users. I even think that their only similarity is their name. Considering these differences in spaces, I continue my digital path. I see the photo that appears on the map as a focus of people. Traffic has started to intensify and vehicles seem to have taken control of people. People turn to underpasses. I observe that public places have changed their original functions and transformed into motion function over time. I can see that people are in the second place and the vehicles are more priority. When I progressed, I started to hear the music sounds. I can't wait to explore this street. I come to the entrance of the street called Old Arbat and I can't wait to observe the street. I find myself in an artistic street where there is no vehicle and people can move freely. People's movements seem comfortable and they look different from the hasty people in the capitalist system. Although the street contains trade centers, the street is in my mind with artistic activities. I don't observe the Lefebvre's idea that leisure activities are commodifying here. I see that leisure activities can be spent without commodification. These places seem far from the contradiction created by capitalism in my digital age. I think this street is human-oriented and is waiting to be explored with its various artistic activities. Here I feel peaceful and away from the hustle and bustle of the city. I'm reviewing the share videos and pictures. I see that there are different activities along the street. I feel like there is no concept of the time here. People here seem to enjoy life. In social media, I observe Old Arbat Street as a very artistic street. Many decorative items decorate the backgrounds of photos and videos. It's possible to observe many activities on the street and it looks quite fun. According to Lefebvre, in the process of transition to urban society, the capitalist city makes this its consumption place. But I observe that people in the old Arbat street something rather than the effects of the capitalist city. I think that capitalism doesn't affect human life in the same way everywhere, and that the place is not consumed in some areas. Furthermore, the place is produced with new experiences with new users. Lefebvre's idea of the use of the generalization of the commodity due to capitalism and therefore the tendency to destroy the city and urban reality. On the contrary, I think that this space has not been damaged despite the capitalist order and continues to reflect that space. I think leisure activities can also be carried out without commodification like this place. However, as I move towards Arbat Square, I realize that the artistic feature of the street decreases. I observe that artistic activities are replaced by commercial places. I see familiar places on the street, doner and kebab selling shops like Turkish restaurants and of course Starbucks, which are among the indispensables of our capitalist system. According to the photos shared on social media, I think the street is quite impressive for people at night as well as during the day. After this artistic street that I discovered with my cyborg eye, my digital map leads me to the new Arbat region. As I move from the old Arbat region to the new Arbat region, I notice that the texture has changed. The vehicles have dominated the road, and I have observed that people are moving faster. According to my digital devices, I think I'm going somewhere organized with capitalist concerns. The buildings start to rise and seem to have oppressive domination everywhere. Even if they are connected with a square, two places serve different lives and users. I can observe this situation in the square. According to Lefebvre, abstract space is a multi-unit, contradictory, and plural forced combination of opposites. Images in urban space with information and power symbols are constantly changing. This image settle in memory of the city and identity of these places, like the new Arbat region, known with skyscrapers. When I look at shared videos, I see a narrow sidewalk reserved for people. The roads are so wide and only serve vehicles. It doesn't even seem to allow people to gather together. These regions seem to be designed for vehicles. I cannot even see those underpasses and overpasses. It's not possible to feel people's domination on a large scale in shared videos, but I can feel the presence of people in small-scale consumption places. With my cyborg eye, when I came to the new Arbat region, I see that life here is very different from the square and the old Arbat region. I see that this design space is alienated from its culture. I feel like anywhere under the influence of the capitalist process. I can't detect the place. It's not like different and interesting buildings in Red Square. These buildings are not interesting to me, but ordinary. According to the videos shared on the internet, I see that cars dominate this street. I can't see a place of movement for people. I think that the separation of the body from the space, people cannot control the street and understand the place, and the user is alienated from the space. I feel here in a capitalist process in a fast life, and I observe that space is a tool for consumption. I observe the capitalist system transforming time and place. Today, in cities built according to the tastes of the consumer society, I observe the construction of the city apart from the identity of the city. With my digital observations, I cannot see the Lefebvre's concept that the place is a social product and that every society will produce a different place in the city. I think this situation has changed in the capitalist order, and every society has started to produce similar products. I cannot understand where am I by looking at the skyscrapers, which are seen as the star of the last period. It looks like everywhere is everywhere in shared videos. It doesn't look much different from other skyscrapers. I'm in a place that I cannot understand if I don't see any text about Moscow in the pictures and videos shared. The new architecture, which has moved away from the rising human scale and made with commercial concerns, alienates people to daily life and leads us to a fast and meaningless life, and actually causes us to consume space. When I compare the new Arbat region in the city of Russia that I have chosen as a digital Flaneurie with the old Arbat region, I observe this area as the space of capital, which Lefebvre defines as the design space. As a result of my digital observations, I think the question, why do we build soulless, monotonous high-rise buildings instead of buildings with such a beautiful history? I find it causing the capitalist system to disappear in time and place. Of course, the architecture of historic buildings in the square cannot be applied to new residential areas, but why are we built buildings that are so ordinary that we forget where we are? Wouldn't buildings that reflect human scale and history be more suitable? In today's urban life, I observe that capitalist cities have become a consumption place. In most pictures and videos shared, I observe that users are reduced the only part of the capitalist order rather than being a user. Because of capitalism, I observe that there is a tendency to destroy the value of commodity and hence the city and urban reality, but not everywhere. According to Lefebvre, the capitalist mode of production takes over and rearranges the city and reproduces it by harmonizing it with the nature of the system. Although capitalist influences have been observed in the square from past to present, the square will remain a meeting place in events and will remain as a perceived space that continues to accommodate many functions and differences in people's minds.